Imagine an ocean without its song. For millennia, the deep, resonant calls of blue whales have traveled across entire ocean basins. These are not mere sounds, they are the lifeblood of a species, the threads that connect individuals across immense dark distances. They are calls for mates, declarations of presence, the very fabric of their social world. Now, imagine that song fading. In the vast expanse of the Pacific, a profound and unsettling quiet is spreading. The whales are falling silent. This is not a poetic metaphor. It is a terrifying reality unfolding in the depths, a silence that speaks volumes about the health of our planet's largest ecosystem. To understand the silence, we must first understand how we learned to hear the song. For decades, scientists have deployed a sophisticated network of underwater microphones, known as hydrophones, across the ocean floor. These sensitive instruments are our ears in the deep, constantly listening to the symphony of marine life. Originally developed by the United States Navy to track submarines during the Cold War, this technology has been repurposed for peace, allowing us to eavesdrop on the conversations of whales. Their vocalizations are produced at such a low frequency, often below the range of human hearing, that they can travel for hundreds, even thousands of miles through the water. For researchers, these sounds are a goldmine of information. By analyzing the recordings, they can track whale migrations, identify populations, and assess their behavior. The specific patterns and frequencies of their songs can tell scientists whether the whales are foraging, traveling, or seeking mates. Recently, however, that familiar picture has changed dramatically. Researchers analyzing the acoustic data from hydrophones in the Northeast Pacific were the first to raise the alarm. The data was unequivocal. During the most intense periods of recent marine heat waves, blue whale vocalizations had plummeted by as much as 50%. The primary culprit behind the whale's alarming silence has a deceptively simple name: the blob. This was not a creature from a science fiction movie, but something potentially more terrifying: a massive, persistent marine heat wave. Beginning in late 2013 and lasting for several years, the blob was an unprecedented expanse of surface water in the Northeast Pacific Ocean that was several degrees warmer than average. This warm blanket of water effectively suffocated the normal workings of the marine ecosystem. It disrupted the vital process of upwelling, where cold, nutrient-rich water from the depths rises to the surface, fueling the entire food web from the bottom up. Oceanographically, the blob was a perfect storm of atmospheric and oceanic conditions. A persistent ridge of high pressure settled over the region, weakening the winds that typically churn the ocean's surface and drive upwelling. Without this crucial mixing, the surface layer of the ocean stratified, with the warm, nutrient-poor water sitting on top like a lid, preventing the life-giving cold water from reaching the sunlit zone, where phytoplankton, the base of the marine food web, grow. The ocean, in effect, became a desert. For the animals that depend on this seasonal bounty, it was a catastrophe. The impact of this prolonged marine heatwave was swift and brutal. Seabird populations crashed, sea lion pups starved. Toxic algal blooms flourished in the warm, stagnant water, poisoning shellfish and sickening marine mammals. The blob was a stark demonstration of how sensitive marine ecosystems are to temperature changes. A few degrees might not sound like much to us on land, but in the ocean, it can be the difference between life and death on a massive scale. Blue whales are creatures of immense size, and their survival depends on immense quantities of food. They are highly specialized feeders, and their diet consists almost exclusively of one thing: krill. These small, shrimp-like crustaceans form dense swarms that can be miles long and contain billions of individuals. A single blue whale can consume up to 4 tons of krill in a single day, gulping down vast mouthfuls of seawater and filtering out the tiny organisms through its baleen plates. Their entire life strategy, from their long migrations to their seasonal presence in feeding grounds, is orchestrated around the predictable, explosive blooms of krill. The blob, and the warm water it brought, triggered a catastrophic collapse in the krill populations of the Northeast Pacific. Krill are exquisitely sensitive to water temperature. When the ocean's surface warmed and stratified, the phytoplankton that krill feed on disappeared. In turn, the krill populations crashed. The dense swarms that blue whales rely on to make their energetic efforts worthwhile simply vanished. Instead of finding concentrated patches of food, the whales were met with a vast, empty expanse. This food shortage had a direct and immediate impact on the whale's behavior and physiology. Foraging for scattered, sparse krill is an energetically costly and inefficient process. In such conditions, every ounce of energy must be conserved for essential life functions, primarily survival. Singing becomes a luxury. A lack of food not only silences the whales but also severely impacts their ability to reproduce. Without an abundant supply of krill, reproduction grinds to a halt. To fully appreciate the vulnerability of blue whales, it helps to compare their plight with that of another, more resilient giant, the humpback whale. Humpbacks and blue whales often share the same waters, migrating to the same feeding grounds off the California coast. Yet, during the marine heat waves, their fates diverged dramatically. While the blue whales fell silent, the humpbacks seemed to fare much better. The key to this difference lies in their dietary flexibility. Humpbacks are generalist feeders. While they also eat krill, they are not solely dependent on it. They have a much more varied menu, readily switching to schooling fish like anchovies, sardines, and herring when krill is scarce. Blue whales, in stark contrast, are extreme specialists. Their entire physiology and feeding behavior are hyper-adapted to consuming krill and only krill. They are what ecologists call obligate krill feeders. Their immense size requires the incredible energy density found in massive krill swarms, and they lack the agility and perhaps even the behavioral instinct to effectively hunt and capture fast-moving schools of fish. This specialization, which was a highly successful strategy for eons in a stable ocean, has now become their Achilles heel. When the krill disappear, the blue whales have no alternative food source to fall back on. The diverging fates of these two magnificent whale species in the face of the same environmental stressor offer a clear and worrying insight. The alarming quiet observed off the coast of California is not an isolated incident. As scientists have begun to analyze acoustic data from other parts of the world, a similarly disturbing pattern is emerging. The silence of the blue whales appears to be a global phenomenon, tracking the spread of marine heat waves across the planet's oceans. In the Southern Ocean, around the Antarctic Peninsula, researchers have noted changes in whale distribution and vocalizations that correlate with shifts in sea ice and krill availability. Here, the warming is driven by different mechanics, but the result for the whales is the same: a disruption of their primary food source, leading to changes in their behavior and potentially their acoustic output. In the Indian Ocean, another distinct population of blue whales, the pygmy blue whales, has also shown signs of distress. These whales have their own unique song, a dialect that distinguishes them from their Pacific and Atlantic cousins. Marine heat waves in the Indian Ocean have been linked to massive coral bleaching events and shifts in plankton communities. The problem is not confined to one coastline. It is a systemic issue affecting the global ocean. The entire oceanic system is interconnected, and a heat wave in one region can have knock-on effects thousands of miles away. We are not just losing the song of one population. We are witnessing the potential fading of a global chorus. The scientists who first uncovered this phenomenon speak about it with a mixture of academic rigor and profound concern. Dr. William Eastreich of the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute, a lead author on the pivotal study, emphasizes the direct link between food and song. Vocalization, especially for the purposes of reproduction, is a very energetically expensive activity, he has explained. Dr. John Kalambakidis, a senior research biologist at the Cascadia Research Collective who has studied West Coast blue whales for decades, provides crucial context. We saw the blue whales were largely absent from their traditional feeding areas, Kalambakidis has stated, and the ones we did see appeared to be in poorer body condition. The consensus among experts is that this is a climate change story. Dr. Elliot Hazen, a research ecologist at NOAA's Southwest Fisheries Science Center, connects the dots explicitly. These marine heat waves are projected to become more frequent and more intense with climate change, Hazen warns. Blue whales are an indicator of the health of the entire system, Eastreich has said. When they are in trouble, it means the system that supports them, and ultimately us, is in trouble too. The voices from the front lines of ocean research are united and clear. The changes they are documenting are unprecedented, and they demand an urgent response. For centuries, miners carried canaries into the dark tunnels of the earth. The small birds, being more sensitive to toxic gases, would serve as a living, breathing alarm system. If the canary fell silent, the miners knew the air had turned poisonous and it was time to get out. Today, in the vast, deep expanses of our oceans, the blue whales are serving the same function. Their fading songs are the modern equivalent of the silent canary, a biological signal warning us of a profound and dangerous change in our planet's life support systems. The poison in this case is not methane gas, but the excess heat and carbon dioxide that we have relentlessly pumped into the atmosphere. The ocean has been our planet's great buffer, absorbing over 90% of the warming caused by human activities. But there is a limit to how much stress any system can endure. The marine heat waves, the collapsing food webs, and the silent whales are not isolated problems. They are all symptoms of an ocean that is becoming increasingly unstable and inhospitable. The silence of the blue whale is a particularly poignant warning because of the animal's sheer scale and symbolic power. The oceans regulate global climate, produce more than half of the oxygen we breathe, and provide food and livelihoods for billions of people. The health of the ocean is not a luxury. It is a prerequisite for human survival. They are living barometers of the sea. The silent whales are giving us the same chance. The question is whether we will heed their warning before the air in our own tunnel becomes unlivable. The great blue whale, a creature that has navigated the world's oceans for millions of years, is now sending us its most urgent message yet, not with its powerful voice, but with its profound silence. This quiet is a cry for help, an alarm bell ringing from the heart of the sea. It tells a story of hunger, of an ecosystem under extreme stress, and of a planet warming at an unsustainable rate. We must recognize these silent giants for what they are, sentinels of ocean change. The fate of the ocean is inextricably linked to the fate of humanity, and the whales are showing us just how fragile that connection has become. The path forward requires more than just admiration for these magnificent animals. It demands action. It demands a global, concerted effort to combat climate change, to reduce our carbon emissions, and to protect and restore the health of our marine ecosystems. We must strengthen marine protected areas, combat pollution, and manage fisheries sustainably. But above all, we must address the root cause of the problem: a warming planet. Let the silence of the blue whales resonate within us. Let it be a call to action, a reminder of what is at stake. We stand at a critical juncture in the history of our planet. We can choose to listen to the warning of these sentinels, to act with the urgency and wisdom that this moment demands, and to work towards a future where the oceans can once again be filled with their song. Or we can choose to ignore them, and in doing so, accept a future in a world that is quieter, emptier, and immeasurably diminished. Let us hope we choose to listen before the silence becomes permanent.